I feel like you're an ambassador for Israel. You have become an ambassador for Israel everywhere you go. And it's amazing because soon we're going to have you in Germany. And we're
Yeah.
going to have you here for 10 days and travel through Germany and tell your story. But tonight we're going to tell your story here. And also, I told everyone a little bit about the context already, that you're on some kind of a closing trip after your original trip was interrupted on the 7th of October. And but first, before we're gonna start and jump right into your story, I would like to ask you a question because everyone knows you have been a reservist or you were a reservist in Gaza, and you got hurt, and it was life-threatening, but you survived, and it's a crazy story, and you're gonna tell us more detailed about it. But other than that, you're just a normal 22, now 23-year-old guy who wants to go study, who wants to have a good life. And so just want to ask you about what are the most favorite things that you like to do, your hobbies, and how would you describe yourself in a few words?
Um, so I'm 23. I'm from Jerusalem. I love traveling. I love hiking. Today I just came back from a 2-day hike. I love reading books, watching movies. I love football. That's how I know the geography of most of Europe, Germany also. I love drawing, and yeah, I think just uh, I like anything that makes me feel good and makes me feel alive and yeah. And now I kind of like have a blackout of what I'd like to do. I don't know. I feel like I said, yeah, and writing too, and meeting people and having conversation and learning about new stuff. Actually, yesterday in the hike, I sat down next in a we did a bonfire, and I sat down with a Indian guy who taught me like about Hindu and Buddhism. I really like knowing and asking questions.
But originally, you are from a religious Jewish family in Jerusalem, and you decided to be less religious. When did that happen and why?
Um, well, I think like the whole definition of religious is different because I am very religious. I'm very spiritual, just in my own way. I'm very Jewish. I love the Jewish culture and everything that is included in it. I just don't see myself as doing all those different rules that you must follow because I have my own set of rules and values that I choose to follow. Um, I think ever since, I don't know, I was like a young teenager, I kind of started to have those questions. And now I'm still finding myself. Like, I don't think I'll ever get to I don't know, a final answer. But like, I'm always looking and searching for it.
Mhm. Thank you. Before I'm going to give the word to you, Dvir, just one more information for the German audience. Ich hoffe, es hat bei allen geklappt, die Übersetzung brauchen, mit einem zweiten Gerät sich in diesen Link da einzuloggen, oder sich den irgendwie verfügbar zu machen. Den muss man dann abtippen. Wenn nicht, kann euch der Lukas nochmal weiterhelfen oder euch Tipps geben. Also schreibt ihm einfach eine Nachricht. Genau, Lukas, das sollte funktionieren, ne? Man muss halt den Link jetzt irgendwie abschreiben, aber dann denke ich, seid ihr gut versorgt mit einer Übersetzung in einem anderen Zoom-Raum. Okay, Dvir.
Yeah.
Um, we said that first you're gonna tell your story and later we can ask you some more questions. So why don't you just start and yeah, go ahead. Thank you so much for
Okay.
taking the time for us tonight.
First of all, welcome and like with pleasure. Welcome Claudia, Gottlob, and everybody else who are entering now. Well entered or so far. Good evening. My name is Dvir. I'm 23. I'm from Jerusalem. Right now, specifically, I'm in India. Maybe you can see in the background of by the things I'm wearing, um, which is where I was like last summer. I grew up in Jerusalem. I studied in a Orthodox high school. Then I moved. Then like after before the army, I did a pre-army program in a kibbutz in the south, right next to Rafah. It's called Sufa. Um, After that, I joined the army. I went to the special forces of the paratroopers brigade as a combat soldier and a medic. During my service, I was my regular service. I was mostly uh, practicing as a medic and the head of the medical unit too. Then I finished a little more than 2 years ago in April of 2022. Um, and like everybody, like every Israeli who's finishing his army, I wanted to go on a big trip, which I did. Last summer, I came here to India on the August 1st. I traveled here for 2 months. Um, I can give you a lot of recommendations on a different speaking. And then after 2 months of traveling and being in this beautiful country, an interesting country, I was distractions. I'm sorry. Um, I did a lot of like meditation and yoga and Buddhism and stuff like that really interests me. Um, then I moved to Nepal. I've been there for 2, 3 months, 2, 3 weeks, sorry, but only in a festival called the Rainbow Festival, which is kind of like hippie land. We lived in nature, very, very far from like civilization, sleeping in tents, making our food on bonfires, like sleeping under the stars, washing in the river. Very, very spiritual, very like disconnected from everything, which is why we didn't know about anything happening. And for me, October 7th was maybe one of the best days of my trip. Because again, we had no service. We didn't know about anything happening. We did like a sunrise hike. Then we went to the river. We swam. It was like a sunny day. It was been a party, a huge group hug, which I was like in the center of. It was amazing. And like a cool fire show. And only on Sunday, um, about like 12 p.m., I went to grab something to eat. And on the way there, I saw a friend who was looking not good. And he said, like, did you hear what happened? I said, no. Like, where? What do you mean? I said, there's been a terror attack in Israel in a party, and there are 100 people killed and a couple hostages. Um, and obviously, I was shocked. But I said, like, to me, it felt like it's just, 100 is a big number. I felt like it's just rumors on rumors. Because how could it know? We didn't have any service. I went down. I got my phone from my tent. I walked for like 2, 3 hours to where there was reception, and I was pretty nervous on the way. But like I said, okay, like maybe he's overreacting or something. I got down to like a guest house, which had like Wi-Fi and phone service. I saw like tens of Israeli who were with me in the festival. All of them were like on their phones, crying, hugging, like making phone calls. And like, I was a little shocked and like I had a bad feeling. I just still didn't know what happened. So I called my brother to make sure he didn't go anywhere to like a party or something. Um, and then I called him. I asked him what happened. Said something big. I said, how big? Like, Yom Kippur, like, the war in 1973. He said, yeah, something like that. Because I thought, like, I remember I had like a feeling that something like that is going to happen for 50 years to this war. So it was to me very, very obvious that it's connected. And I said, like, is everybody okay? Because, we have a lot of family that live in Moshav Shuva, which is very, very close to Be'eri and Iroz and Saad. and all those villages. Luckily, yeah, they're fine. And I said, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call you back. I opened my news, and the first headline I saw was 300 dead, hundreds are missing, tens of hostages, Israel at war, heavy battles in the south. And I'm like in this beautiful landscape on top of a mountain. Like there's a river, forest, like it's all like not even like connecting. It didn't even feel real. I felt like reality is collapsing. But I said like I have to go back. Like I can't stay here. I started seeing the videos and understand what happened, like and the brutality of it, not just like the mass of how much dead, like also like what exactly the terrorists did. And I said like me as a descendant to Holocaust survivors, I can't like let it go. This is why the IDF was formed originally to prevent things like that happening. This is why I joined the IDF, and like sadly it has happened, and now it's my moral duty to come and fight. Um, so I went, and took me about a week to get back to Israel because again we were very very far from everything. It took us just 3 days to get to Kathmandu, another 2 days to get to Thailand, and from Thailand we had a rescue flight of El Al to get to Israel. I landed on Saturday, and on Sunday, like, and on Saturday I was with my family, obviously, because I didn't see them for a long time. Then on Sunday I went and drafted, and I joined my unit on Monday, and and then like I was, I was a soldier out of nowhere again. Like I was taken from this reality. Um, and during all the time we were waiting and preparing for everything to happen, there was a lot of like dead time. So again, I came from India and I did mantras and yoga and stuff. So I taught my teammate, like my unit mates, that too. All the mantras and like yoga poses and like because it's very very stressful because you don't know what's going to happen. So I felt like this is what we should do and really really helped. Finally, we got into Gaza on October 31st by foot, actually, to the northeast part of it, to Bet Hanun, um, which was scary, and the bag was heavy. And again, war is something that is unpredicted. You can't know anything that could happen. You could get hit by you know, a RPG, a sniper, a drone that just can fly over and like drop a grenade, basically just anything. And we were there doing our missions, conquering areas, finding tons of ammunition in civilian houses, of course, um, and a lot of UNRWA propaganda against Israel and against Jewish people, and many, many swastikas in many houses. Um, and that was in a pretty short amount of time because after 8 days of being there, and again, it's very, very stressful, and we don't like it's scary. On the eighth day, on November 8th, we were on our way to an attack to conquer a Hamas compound, which was also a UNRWA school, but Hamas was using it to hide ammunition there and shoot rockets from there and shoot at us, the forces in the field there. Um, we were on the way there, and but because everything is so dangerous, again in Gaza, you don't like walk. Obviously, you run between places. So it's called skips. Those run the skips between houses. So it was my commander's turn to run. He did. He got there, and then it was me and my friend's turn, and we started running. And about 2 meters after we start running, we hear a round of shots being shot at us. We understood that it was shot at us because it was very very close, and I could like really really feel the air cutting. We continued running, and about 2 3 meters before the door, I felt just extreme pain, the most extreme pain I ever felt in my life, like stabbing your toe at night, just times a billion. all of my body, and I saw black and I collapsed. My friends took me inside the house. They started treating me. And again, as a medic, I'm not used to being on the treating, I just treated side, like side, I usually being on the treating. Um, so I felt like I have to help myself somehow. And they were starting to treat me over here, on this side of my shoulder. And I felt the neck and I felt the pain like center over here. And I said, wow, I was shot in the neck. I need to move my hands and legs to see that I can. And I did, and I could. And it really, really like, calmed me down. Um, and I said, okay, if I can move my hands and legs, I just need to hold this. I'll be fine. I just need to stay conscious. Because as a medic, that's what you always want your injured people to do. So I said, this is how I can help myself. Um, and again, I came from India and I like mantras. So there is a mantra I do in meditation. Um, it goes Om Mani Padme Hum, which means praise the jewel inside the lotus, which the jewel is our brain, is our mind and consciousness, and the lotus is our body. And I just said it over and over again for about 40 minutes during my evacuation, which was pretty quick. They got me out of Gaza. A helicopter waited for me, and they took me to Barzilai Hospital. And like they sedated me right before the helicopter, and I woke up about 8 hours later in the hospital, and the doctors told me, "You have had an amazing miracle that never happens because I was shot here. Maybe you can see the small Saleket scar. Yes.
Entzündung, ja, ist eine Narbe.
And
Ja.
yeah, and it got in from here without any hitting any of the arteries and went out of this side, where you can see the bandage still. Basically going through my neck, not hurting any of the main arteries, not hitting the breathing pipes, none of the pipes. It just hit the edge of C6. I don't know if there are any doctors in the crowd, um, which is why I have like some nerve pain in my hand still. But this is the only thing it hit. And I was released from the hospital just after a week because, again, they didn't even need to do any surgery because such a miracle has happened. Like, really, they said it's 1 to 1 billion. And then I was home very, very quickly, taken from India to the war to home. And I felt like I have to do something with my life because, you know, something extraordinary happened to me and I'm here. So I started doing a podcast. It's called Heroes of Israel 24, where I have 10 episodes in Hebrew and 3 in English. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcast. I think Dina can send you a link later. And what I do there, first of all, obviously I tell my story, um, but I I interview just other injured soldiers because you don't get to hear about what they're going through. Maybe you see one or two interviews on the TV and you're like, whoa, they're such heroes. Thank you. And that's it. And you don't really know what they're actually feeling or what have they been through, even if they're like, let's say, lightly injured, because it's very, very like, let's say the injury is not only physical, it's also emotional. And it's very important to speak up about it and to raise awareness about it because it's something that is very not easy to go through injuries, which is what I do now. And I just finished the podcast. I have total 14 episodes. Um, and yeah, and now I'm back here. I came here 2 weeks ago, back to India to do the closure I wanted to have with myself. And so far it's been amazing.
Thank you, Tavir, for the story and telling us at least a shortcut of everything. It's been a long process, and you're still wearing a bandage, because
Yeah.
it's a very complicated wound. And one of the people actually just asked me if the what exactly when they did the surgery, what exactly did they do? Did they just
No surgery.
no surgery because the bullet went through, it went out. So what happened afterwards?
So in the hospital, you mean?
Yes.
So they got me to the hospital. This is all I'm speaking. They told me after because I wasn't awake.
Hmm.
Um, they took me in the hospital. I had a huge hematoma on all this side of my neck, and a big exit wound on this side, which does not look good. So they took me into the MRI and CT machines to check what kind of surgery they need to do. And every test I went through um, went perfectly. And they said, okay, he doesn't have he could breathe by himself. He doesn't have any brain damage. He doesn't have any spine damage that could you know, hurt him too much. I do have like a broken edge of a vertebrae, but like that's it. And it doesn't, you know, limits me too much. Um, so yeah, which is why I was just a week in the hospital. Like after 2 days, I already could like walk by myself to the hospital bathroom, and like everybody just said how big of a miracle it is
Hmm.
because stuff like that never happened.
Hmm. Yeah, that's just crazy. Like every time I hear the story, I'm just so amazed how you're sitting here and you're fine and more or less, except of the nerve pain, of course, in the fingers. But wow, it's just amazing. So there's a few questions regarding how it is in the Gaza Strip and to be in there and to fight there. I assume that you got these questions a lot. Um, one person says, I'd be interested to hear how a day of a soldier looks like when you're in there. Like, how does a day, like a daily, if you have it in a daily life, how does that look like?
Um, so the first thing you need to understand that there's not really like day and night because you're not really sleeping like normal people. You don't get too much of like sleep, consistent. Let's say you had a I'll start by the night, okay? Um, you get into a house, you conquer a house, you open it, you make sure it's clean, doesn't have any like bombs or terrorists inside. You set it up into like kind of like a small base. You know, you block the windows, you darken the lights, you block the entries, and you set up like guarding. Um, so that's one thing that needs to have. Like every house has like at least two guarding places and one person that listens to the radio. So like let's say there are like three shifts that every team is separated into three classes, it's called. So usually like those three classes choose like one class listens to the radio, one class goes to this guarding duty, and then the other one goes to the next one. And you're basically just during the night. It depends how many people are, but everything. But like, let's say you guard for like half an hour and then you sleep for 2 hours, or a little less, a little more, but like that's about it. So you have to be really awake when you're guarding because you are guarding from terrorists or anything that could happen. But on the other hand, you're still really tired and it's hard. So that's the night and morning. Usually, one class before is has to be up, all of them at 5 a.m. because that's it's called getting ready at dawn. Because dawn is usually when attacks happen, like happened on October 7th. Um, so it's like a whole class is getting ready, and then it depends like on the missions. It could be small operations of like half of the team staying in the house, half of the other team goes to like the next couple of houses to make sure they're clean, to see what's inside, maybe to get some intelligence. Um, and war is something like, it's not on like all the video games you see, like it's not happening very fast. War is very slow. Like every attack has to be planned very well. and everybody has to know what he's doing. And it's not like, going around shooting and everything. It's not doesn't work like that. So it's very like slow, but like you know, think to head, usually. And yeah, the everyday is like, again, you're mostly in a house, doing operation, going in and out, and like changing houses every once in a while. Um, so yeah, that's what it is, you know.
Hmm. Thank you. The next question is, how was it to be fighting in the Gaza Strip? And what was your task? You were a medic, paramedic. Did you also have
Medic.
to do shooting, or did you only have to do medic things?
Um, well, I came prepared for anything as a combat soldier, but any combat soldier has his own like role. Some people have like they carry some kind of different weapons or are a medic. So I'm a medic. I I came again to be a combat soldier, and I was ready to do anything. I didn't have to do any shooting or actually treat anyone in this war because I was our first clash. Like the clash started with me being shot by the sniper. Um, so I didn't get to like treat anyone, which is good, and didn't have to shoot anyone, which is also good. Um, but yeah, I was prepared for anything, and one of the main reasons I even came back to fight, I said, as a medic, I can't let my friends go inside Gaza without me being there because it's my moral duty. Like I would want the guy that carries the machine guns to be in there, so they probably want me to be there.
Yeah. And how did Hamas fight against you? Like, what did they use? What weapons? How did they do that? Yeah.
Um, First of all, they don't wear any uniform, which is something you could also see in the videos that they themselves like post on social media and stuff. They don't wear uniform because then they can add the terrorists to the civilians' death toll, which is good for them. Um, and again, they're a terrorist organization. They're not an army. They don't care. Um, they First of all, they have all those terror tunnels, which they use, and also to hide the hostages there, and also just to hide themselves in there. Um, we found many houses that had like ammunition in like you may say normal people houses, like people who had like I found like a ID of somebody who works in Israel, and we found ammunition in his house because he's a Hamas terrorist, and he works in Israel. And a UNRWA doctor also had a Hamas vest and a headband in his house and a motorcycle, um, and like and that again, I was shot from a UNRWA school because then again, the idea of, people say the idea of raid those schools, it's because Hamas and all the other terrorist organization in Gaza, they use those compounds to for their, goals. Because again, they're a terrorist organization, then they don't care about, uh, the Geneva rules and all those other, again, you're not supposed to shoot medics, and you can recognize medics because we have different everybody has like his own tactical like sign. So a normal soldier is like a one line or two, and a medic is a triangle. And we have it on the back and on the front of our helmet. And it didn't like make them, it didn't stop them from shooting me. Um, and yeah, in total, in the like I don't know, you could just see like in the warfare, like you're not fighting against an army. You're fighting against people who are just hiding and using drones and snipers and other, I don't know, horrific tools to fight against you.
Mm. I remember when I visited you, Dvir, the first time in Israel. I actually only got to know you in December, and we did an interview about your story. And then you didn't wanted to go public that you were shot from an UNRWA school because it wasn't like it was still to be said, I think, or it was not for the
Yeah,
public. Yes.
yeah,
But
it was still like censored because they
yes,
didn't want to tell exactly where we were.
what they wanted to.
I said the IDF censored it then because they didn't want like the public to know where it operates, but now it's been enough time, so they said it's fine.
I see. Okay. So, back in March when I visited you for the second time, then you said now you can even write it in the title of my story of my second interview with you that you were shot from an UNRWA school, and it makes you very angry to know that. And can you describe that a little more? What does it do with you to know that and to
That I
confront?
was shot from a UNRW school.
Yeah.
Um, First of all, it's again, it's what I said that because then the media shows that the IDF shoots schools and hospitals, and they're like Joe's crazy, genocidal soldiers, but like nobody says what they found in those schools. Like after I was injured, my unit got into school and they found tons of ammunition and rockets and like just like it was a military base,
Mhm.
and it's like it makes me angry that first of all like the world doesn't see it. The world chooses not to see it because the facts are here. Just the world just chooses not to see it and choose to believe the liars and like the propaganda, which is just not true. Um, and yeah, it's pretty depressing to like, you see those things with your eyes. And I
Mhm.
actually got to speak to a woman in Australia who like said that you should see other news channels that are unbiased because what you see is biased for Israel. And I said, what do you mean? Like I'm not talking about news. I'm talking about what I saw with my own eyes. And she said, no, I don't think so. I think you're wrong.
Mhm.
And it's just like there's so many. I think first of all, most of the people who like have chosen a side and it's not Israel's side. I just think they don't know anything really. Like they just uh like don't know history and the facts. And but I'm more angry about the people who know the facts and know everything and still choose to side with a terrorist organization um, that his first like goal in his charter is to destroy the country of Israel and the Jewish people, not
Mhm.
to free Palestine or anything else.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you. I have three last questions for you. One of them is, what kind of support are you getting now as I mean, it's not only physical, the pain or the wound, it's also a traumatic experience to be experiencing such pain that no one can imagine and to be there, to be afraid, when is the next drone gonna drop something at us, or when is the sniper gonna shoot us at us?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you getting any support right now?
Uh, Actually, yes, I get a lot of support. Actually, the Ministry of Defense has like amazing organization and facilities. First of all, I see a therapist every week. Now I don't because I'm here, but like I spoke to him actually today,
Mhm.
um, like through WhatsApp. So it's something that like they get to us, and also for my family, like my parents get, and like my siblings can if they want. So this is very like really good. And also for the physical, there's an organization called Bet Halochem, like ZDF.
Mhm.
Um, ZDF? No, I don't remember the translation, but it's called Bet Halochem, and it has four compounds all over Israel. Now the fifth one is being built in Ashkelon. Um, and basically what they do is they have it's like a country club.
Mhm.
Um, they have a pool, gym, like courses, whatever you want to do, like storytelling, yoga, ping pong, like everything, soccer, and also physiotherapy, which I also went every week. Um, and like it's massages and like they give you drills to do and they check how you like how is your recovery doing. And like yeah, I felt very, very supported doing my whole rehabilitation process. Um, so yeah,
Mhm.
actually,
Sounds.
I even went to New York with Beta Lochem for like again saying my story, and I flew with another soldier who got injured in Be'eri on the 7th of October. We both shared our stories and like yeah, to raise awareness and also like help get donators to help the organization.
Mhm. Donators is a good word for the next question. How can we support from Germany wounded soldiers? How can we encourage people, soldiers especially? What do you think?
Um, so first of all, there are so many organizations. I'm a friend in two of them. One of Beit Lachem that I told you, and the second is Achim Lachaim, Brothers for Life, which is organization only for combat soldiers who got injured in um, active duty. So you can always help donate those organizations because it's very, very important to, give back to the soldiers who are being hurt. You can also, um, first of all, the war is still going on, and the soldiers still need gear and equipment. And if you want, Dina, I can send you a number of a guy that I know that gets like a donations for soldiers, like in the north, in the south. It could really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just for the everyday person, you don't have to be like a donator and everything. Um, just speaking up, raising awareness, sharing what you see on social media for it to get to other people that people should know the truth. Because again, I just feel like the problem is that why we're in such a place now in our reality is because most of the people are just uh, ignorant and just don't know. Most of them don't know where Israel is on the map, don't know the history of it. For them, it's just something interesting on Twitter and TikTok to like pass the day. So they choose a side like it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you could, like you, Dina, do, um, you know, raise awareness, speak about, what is actually happening. Um, and that's the way for people to know, which is all like the best supports, you
Yeah.
know, better than anything you could physically give.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Dwayne. And also, of course, I will never leave out the chance to advertise our social media educational campaign about all these subjects and that we did in the organization. And you can just look it up here. I posted the link in there. It's all in German. Mhm. Okay. So someone wants to know whether you will go back to serve as a soldier or yeah, or not. Or as a
Right
service.
now, I can't. Um, but I want to go and like be back in reserves. Probably not as a combat soldier because again, I do have a broken vertebrae. I am limited in things I can do. Um, but I want to, do what I can. I still have my profession as a medic, and I can do that being like as a platoon medic. Uh, not in war because again, but you know, the reserves will go on for like until almost 20 years from now. So, or be in the logistics and like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I can do. So I think once I've healed and once I feel like that I mentally can do that, I think I'll gladly go back and like choose the role that is fit for me. But yeah, I want to go back and like be in reserves again.
Mhm. Has your experience changed anything about what you want to do with your life?
Um, yes and no, but yes. Like ne ne
Yes.
next year I'm gonna be starting studying in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. I'm gonna study communication and international relations, which is something that was interesting for me before. But now, since what happened to me, and since I started the podcast, and since I've been interviewing and speaking and all that, I think it's like you know, it happens for a reason, and I can use it, and I can do a really, really good and important job with it.
Mhm.
So that's what I want to do. I don't know exactly what, but like anything that is in this profession, I think first of all would be good for me and would be good for the rest of us.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, we'll see where life will get you. And for now, thank you so much for being here, answering also our questions, also telling your stories and spreading.
If there is one more question, I'm ready.
Sure. If anyone has
If
a
so.
question, that's fine. And also, I want to open the mic real quick for like maybe 2, 3 minutes. Whoever wants to say anything for you, Dvir, or wants to give you any warm wishes, just go ahead, open your mic, and it won't be on the recording later. And also, if there's one more question, just write it to me or send it to me or ask yourself.